So this video is for I Got Better. I'm in Southern California. My name's Sandra. I live with my mother. I'm in my late 30s. I have 4 dogs, one of which is Lucky. He's a very small Pomeranian mix with Chihuahua. He's 3 years old, and he's all black, and you can see his eyes. Let me take my glasses off. When he goes like this, and he goes like that, you can see the whites of his eyes, and he's the cutest little dog I've ever did see, and I love to play with him. Um, and our other dogs are pretty much older, so they don't play. Our girls, they're like 16, 15, 13. They don't want to play too much. So Lucky's the one that I play with. I was diagnosed with major depression when I was 16, but I knew I had it when I was younger, 13. My mom had asked me, told me basically that I needed to go see a therapist and I needed to talk to someone because she could see that I was isolating and not acting like myself and something was wrong. And I knew at the age of 13 what stigma was, so I wanted no part in, therapy, go and see a therapist, a shrink. That's what I considered it, a shrink back then. And I didn't want anything to do with it, but I was cutting myself, and I remember taking 6 or 8 Advil, when I was 13, because I had so much depression, I was confused about my sexuality. And I remember it just got worse. Basically, by the time I was 16, I was isolating pretty much all day. 6 a.m. I'd wake up, get on the video game, maybe eat breakfast at 8, 5 minutes, cereal, go back in my room, play my video game, come out at 6 o'clock at night, eat a little bit of dinner, whatever it was, 5, 10 minutes, go back in my room, play my video game till midnight, and go to bed. And I do the same thing the next day. And this is all during the summer before my 10th grade year, or maybe it was before my 11th grade year. And I was bullied in high school. In 10th grade, I was bullied by a 9th grader, and maybe I was an easy target. Maybe I looked shy, and maybe I looked quiet and easy to target. And I was suspended for being bullied for a week. And after I was suspended, I came back and I didn't trust any of the teenagers, so I spent the remainder of my sophomore year, which was a whole semester, in the library for lunch, and I snuck my lunch in the library, and I isolated in there because I wanted to feel safe. That was my main thing. And then the next year, my junior year, I also spent the entire year in the library during lunch. And I'd go in there to read my Bible because that was one of my coping skills back then. I got into church after 10th grade. The summer after 10th grade, I got into church and was not isolating so much. I probably, I'm going to say I probably started going to church around August or September. By the time I started my junior year, that's probably when I started going to church, and I was around a few teenagers my age, but the main thing is I was not isolating anymore, and I went to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and that gave me a little bit of hope. But really, the isolation, I needed to get away from the isolation. That's what I needed. By the time I turned 18, I got my first job as a security guard at a mall, and I was working full-time, and I was working overtime. So a month after high school graduation, I was already working, and everything changed. I wasn't no longer depressed. I was not on any medication at the time. I didn't start on any medication until I was, in my 30s. But the world of work saved me. But it also kind of, I got a tainted view, basically, because my entire adult life became an identity of I'm a worker, and my entire value system was based on that, and it became maladaptive to where I was telling myself if I'm not working, then I'm not worth anything. So then it became a reactive depression when I lost my job in 2007, when I was an on-call worker. I was working 32 hours a week, sometimes 40, but mostly 32. And I didn't get called back to go into work after working for this place for about 2.5 years. And I fell into a very deep depression. I mean, it wasn't as bad as when I was a teenager, but it was still bad. And, now the main thing that I'm doing now is keeping perspective. I'm very aware now of how judgmental I was of not only other people that don't have jobs, for whatever reason, does not matter, but it mirrored, it reflected back on myself. And I realize now that, I was very judgmental of myself. And what I was telling myself was I was not worth anything if I do not have a job. And I was telling myself basically that, you know, I was putting a mandate basically on things, saying if I don't get a job by May 2011, then I'm not worth anything, and I need it in my life, And now I got to keep perspective, because I have an MBA, I have a bachelor's degree in business, I have an associate's in business. Do I want a psychology degree? Of course I do. That's what my passion is. I want to learn about everything about psychology if I can. But perspective, there's other people out there that want a degree, and I have one. And they have told me, these people that know me have told me that I really don't know my worth, and they don't really know what I have because they don't have a degree. And some of these people have not graduated high school, and I did. So perspective is the main thing for me. A job is not everything. Yes, I want a job. Yes, I'm on the board, a mental health board. Yes, I volunteer for NAMI. I do speeches for NAMI. But yes, I do want a job. But a job is not everything. And after being unemployed for 6 years, I forget that. A job is not everything. But, at least my depression is not like it was when I was 16. So, perspective. I have other coping skills. I paint, I read. I read a lot. So I don't really have a lot of time to go into all my coping skills, but perspective is the main number one. Thanks.